Right there, boys and girls. It's 4 p.m. UK, 8 a.m. Is it?
8 a.m. here. Yep.
8 a.m. Yep.
8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. That must mean it's Sunday. It's NFL, and it's the NFC West Show with my boys Bo and Jason. How you doing, guys? How you doing?
Doing great. Ready for week 3.
Ready for week 3. I mean, I'm loving week 3 already. Obviously, from a Niners perspective, I'm done, dusted, out of the way. At most third gear. I think we may have got out of it in the Giants game. I think no injuries. Got the job done. Wasn't pretty. I mean, a 4-day turnaround is never an easy one anyway, from a Thursday to Sunday night or Sunday to Thursday. But it was less comfortable than I thought it would be against the Giants. It looks like the Giants are finally kind of maybe coming together a bit, which is not surprising. Their first week was a bit of a beatdown, so they're getting there. But at least we got a few extra players in, and McCaffrey didn't run every single play and didn't run every single snap at least. So some plus points, but yeah, it was a job done and out there without any injuries. I think was a good thing from that one.
I heard Trent Williams actually punched a baby on his way out of the stadium too.
He was punching everybody. He was punching everybody in that game. How he stayed on the kneel down there, I don't know how he wasn't ejected. I love the guy.
He's going to get huge fines this week.
I ended up going to a bar, I think in the UK, that you guys call it a pub, to watch that game with a buddy of mine on Thursday. And San Francisco fan is insufferable. It is miserable to watch a San Francisco game with a 49er fan. It's like, it caused me to be like a kind of a quasi 49er fan. I'm like calming him. My buddy's a huge 49er fan, just cussing and yelling at the refs and every single play call. And I'm like, you're winning. You're up. Like, you're going to be fine. Not every single play has to be positive. Not every single play has to be a score. And it was awful. Most of the fans were like that. They hated the coach. They hated the play calling. They hated, unless it was a 10, 15, 20-yard gain, it was just, and it's like, you guys won 30-12. And it wasn't even really close. The Giants, they put up a great fight. You're right, with Wink. Wink came over from Baltimore, and when he was the D coordinator over at Baltimore, they had the highest rushing or blitzing efficiency over in Baltimore. Now he's brought that over to the Giants, right? So you saw a lot of blitzing.
84%, I think I saw a stat something. It was just like,
I think that surprised San Fran a little bit and picking some of those blitzes up. And Brock was off the I would say at least the first quarter. A lot of those throws, a lot of the easy throws were kind of off and behind his
just behind receivers, not on target. Yeah, missed a few that were like, he usually just layer them in there, but I think as you say, the 86% of 5-6 man blitzes
was blitzing left and right. Yeah.
He got lucky on a couple of those that probably should have been picks.
Well, Kittle saved him from a surefire pick when he kind of laid out. That was a surefire pick that Kittle saved him from. So it was I get where you're going with those fans though, because there are, UK fans are slightly different, obviously. It's not so involved for us, but when on the game day thread, we have a game day thread when we're all up at watching at 2 a.m. and stuff like that. So, there were a lot of them there go, come on, why are we not scoring 58 points against these guys? It's like, everyone's kind of happy here. It's 3 a.m. This game is kind of nice and easy. Let's not rile ourselves up. Hey, Sam. So yeah, it's an intro. I can understand, obviously, Jay, from being around other more avid fans who want everything to be instantaneous. Yeah,
right.
Pick your poison.
And I think some of that might be from the mindset of or maybe the glasses of a Cardinal fan, right? Who I feel like we haven't won a game since Bush was our president, the father. So I'm like, hey, listen, you guys
are senior or
no, senior, not junior, not the son. So, I'm like, man, you guys are killing them. This is not even close. So, yeah, it was tough, but
it was a good watch from our side. Even if it was 2 a.m. or 1:15 a.m. kickoff,
yeah,
there was
a
fair few of us
you guys
got
had
up.
a good performance. Yeah,
it was nice to get out of it. A bit worried about Debo's ribs. He looked like he took a few few hits to the ribs. But we've got 10 days off now, which is going to be great because 10 days
Yeah,
off to get ready for the really tough game that's coming up next.
Oh.
So it was interesting when you were talking about that. Actually, I saw something. I don't know who posted it, but it was like somebody's done like the last 100. Did you guys see this? 150, the last 152, 162 games that all NFL teams have played, and they've listed them all out like as if it's a baseball ranking.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
62 wins to 100, whatever else, and it was like it was interesting. Scrolling around, it was like your Seahawks are head and shoulders above in the NFC West. The last 162 games. It's interesting to see, And Jay, you're like 2 wins behind us or something. So overarchingly, it's that's nice to see that bigger window than this instantaneous. It's so easy to go, oh God, we're terrible, we're awful, we're absolutely hideous,
Sure.
and then you go, actually, in the the grand scheme of things, you're only it swings around about. It's just what's great about the league.
Yeah, I mean, there's always waves to it, right? Like you're never on top too long. You're never at the bottom too long, unless, of course, you're the Browns.
Especially the Browns, and then I think, in fact, even the Browns weren't bottom of that. I think the Jags were.
Yeah,
the Jags had less losses. Yeah,
the Jags were terrible for a decade. So
yeah, but I think they'll soon be. Supplanting the Browns at the bottom of that league soon, because the Browns look rough, don't they? I mean,
bad.
Although good news in a weird way that Nick Chubb's knee is only his MCL. Did you guys see that? How is that only his MCL?
It's only the MCL. Now they're saying 6 to 8 months instead of being possibly career-ending. Yeah.
In all fairness,
amazing news.
I don't think he actually has any ACLs. I think they just
that's
don't
possibly
exist.
from
right.
His time, right?
Man.
And
what a great talent too. Yeah, what a great talent. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was sad to see Nick Chubb go down. I think this could have been the year he actually proper balled out, and I think it's an unfortunate situation, but
absolutely. I think collectively, as football fans, we see talented guys like Nick Chubb, and we just appreciate it. I mean, whether you're a fan of the Browns or you're a fan of another team, it doesn't matter. You appreciate greatness, and Nick Chubb is a great running back. So to see that happen, that really hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised that is all that was wrong, especially being on a knee that was already reconstructed for basically the same thing.
The same thing. Yep.
I mean, you would have thought a reconstruction of a reconstruction is not going to be awesome, but if it's only one of the tendons, like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Considering the images and you saw and you thought, I mean, that's literally every tendon, ligament, and whatever else has gone on that leg. It's incredible news to come out, to hear. But yeah, Jay, I think you're right. As fans, and I think maybe fantasy football helps this as well, because obviously, a lot of us would have put Chubb in our teams because he's just balls out. He's just the workhorse, and I think it gives up the appreciation more of other players around the league. So to see somebody like that go down, and you're like, man, just the rest of the league's not going to get a chance to see him, as you say, Sam, ball out this year. So it's great for him that it is maybe just the MCL, and he's 6 to 8 months back, just as good as he was. So that's great news. So where do we want to start, guys?
I was going to say, on the topic of running backs, could we maybe start with?
Well, maybe start with the giveaway that was happening with the LA Rams. I mean, what did you get in return for him? A pick,
a 7th rounder.
We got comp 6 for a comp 7th essentially, and Akers.
Could you? I mean, really, you literally just could have catapulted him.
I think the problem is he's in his final year of his rookie contract. Obviously there's the option to take his 5th. We were never going to take that option. No. Clearly, it's the 2nd year running. He's been dropped for attitude-based reasons, for not having that attitude, and get him out the door as quickly as possible. And I think this is what we arguably should have done last year, but I think McVay decided to give him that second chance, and he did well. But obviously, it's a case of, well, we're not going through this rigmarole again. Quickly ship him off to somewhere else. And I think we got quite lucky that actually this time Kyron Williams has stepped up. And, we've got Ronnie Rivers, we've got Royce Freeman, we've got Zach Evans, who's obviously the rookie. So we've got plenty of options. And I think the fact that Kyron Williams stepped up in that Niners game cemented the fact that we don't need Cam Akers anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Not needing him is you don't need the drama that probably comes with it.
Yeah.
But are these running backs of a level when Akers is on it? Maybe not. But I think, as you say, I think maybe the McVay and the front office and everybody else has gone, we gave you a second chance last year.
Yeah.
And
of course, I mean, you always need that kind of talent. You just don't need that kind of attitude.
Yeah. Talent is one thing; it'll get you so far, but drama and attitude and whatever else, is, that will quickly destroy a locker room.
It seems that that's all that was. It was pure issues with attitude, and the fact that I think he came out pretty much as soon as he'd been told he was dropped, sending out a tweet. It's like, do you really need that sort of like drama going on? And I think, to come out and basically, well, I don't know what's going on, was just poor form. He's done it twice now, and you can see the repetition. I think we just,
Well, and he's requested a trade, right? He requested a trade in the past anyway. So in theory, he should be happy.
He's a solid running back. I think he's a good, solid second. He'd be useful in that sort of Madison Akers role. I think he's going to do probably okay there, but
they'll have to start running it.
Is he a franchise running back? That's the thing. Is he a franchise running back that you literally rely on heavily? And I don't think he is. He has the potential, but nah.
Well, I mean, it's actually good that he's not going to the Vikings because they don't run the ball. I mean, it's funny because you listen to everybody like talking about Madison not being good. He has 19 touches over 2 games. Like no running back.
No running back's good after 19 touches.
No, I mean
Madison showed the last year when Dalvin Cook had his full season and he was sort of struggling, and they brought Madison in. He showed why he's such a good running back. He is an absolute brute, and he just pounds through people. But if you're not going to run the ball, he's not going to play well.
Exactly. I mean, think of a guy like Adrian Peterson, right? What were the first 10 touches of a game for him? Nothing.
Warm up.
2 warm-ups. He got maybe got 3 yards out of those total. Maybe a dump off catch. And
we're 150 yards.
Yeah.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, it's talking about Minnesota and Alexander Madison. You don't know, right? There's a big difference between being the man and being the backup, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Teams strategize and target and game plan for the man. They don't target and game plan for the backup. So now Alexander is the man. Okay. So we don't know. We don't know if he can handle a 15, 17, rush workload or not. But he's not given a shot. They're busy throwing the ball over there in Minnesota. So is Cam going to get a shot? Ty Chandler, hated to see that Cam Akers come over because he's like, man, I was the heir apparent. Madison wasn't doing much. But again, I mean, those guys have shown that they want to throw the ball and throw the ball and throw the ball. And yeah, so
right. And if that's not working, they'll throw the ball again, right?
Throw the ball. And so Cam Akers is not, I'm sure he's pissed. He's not happy that he's sitting over there in an offense like that.
Well, especially since worst case, they're going to split carries, right? So say they run it more. So they're going to do 15, right? They're going to rush the ball 15.
Whoa.
Well, hang on. In the next 2 games, or you mean per game?
Right.
Yeah, like so all of a sudden, what your guys are going to have 7-8 carries apiece? Like
no,
you're not
going to be 10 and 5, isn't it? Maximum.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean,
yeah.
like, there's no way that any running back is going to have a ton of success. I take that back. Derrick Henry can actually like create a problem with 10 carries.
Or
the
5.
Only thing
Yeah.
I can see with Akers, the only thing with Akers is I think, and he's good at those sort of. He's a good catching running back. I think is probably the best way. He is useful in the passing game, and I think maybe that's how they'll utilize him a bit more. Have a few sort of like screenplays and things like that.
Oh, he's going to come in and be a blocker. That'd be amazing.
He cannot block. I've watched him enough. He cannot block.
He's not good in pass protection.
Watch him
Kirk Cousins is going down a lot if they rely on that. But yeah, it'll be interesting if they use him in Minnesota. Minnesota had a great tight end there, and I think they've been using their rookie tight end quite a lot. Will Akers come in and take some of that dump off rather than the tight end dump off? It'll be third down to Akers on the screens and stuff. Who knows? But it was just so obvious that you were just taking anybody who picked up the phone and said we'll give you something, You're like, take him. We don't care what it. Just as long as there's an offer on the table, we'll take it.
Hey, and that's the landscape of the NFL, right? I mean, look at it's kind of a similar situation with DeAndre Hopkins, where you would think, oh yeah, you're going to get something in return, right? Something.
Yeah, you guys got a high five.
I mean,
pretty much it. And away from everybody else.
We got his contract off the book, so it's like, you know what, you got to take that.
That DeAndre Hopkins deal. I mean, I get that you were just trying to get him off the books and that, but for him, because I mean, he was going on about how he wanted to go to it. It was clear if he's at that age, he should be at a team challenging. Mm-hmm. No one wanted him, and he's ended up at Tennessee.
Well, I mean, it's just the order of the words, right? He's on a challenging team.
Yeah. It's not a team that's challenging for anything particular, but the team itself is challenging. Yeah,
right. But if you're a football player, all jokes aside, if you're a wide receiver, which roster would you rather be a part of? The Tennessee or Arizona, whose our arrow is pointing up, or Tennessee, where do they even have an arrow? Number one. Number two, if I'm DeAndre Hopkins, I go to Kansas City and I tell them, look, I don't care what my salary is. Just bring me on your roster.
Yeah,
I'll go veteran minimum salary.
Absolutely veteran minimum.
I'll play special teams for.
I'll be happy winning championships over there than being paid a boatload in Tennessee, losing every single week.
And
I guess for
I'm not even getting the ball thrown to him, right?
Tennessee probably made the most sense because your team isn't going to do anything, realistically. And Tennessee, on paper, looks like they should be playing better than they are. So
the problem is they don't throw the ball. They just they pound the ground with Derrick Henry, and I think that's the problem. Is he's gone to a team that is predominant. It's like OBJ going to the Ravens.
Yep.
They're a pound the ground team. You not get as much. So
I was about to say that.
Played 4 games. So
Tennessee makes the Baltimore Ravens look like the greatest show on turf. I mean, Tennessee just does not throw the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, did they? So, but then who have they got? I mean, you look at it and it's not surprising. They've got Tannehill and Williams.
Well, they've got Matt Willis at the moment because Levis is third at the moment because he's not
Willis.
Previous. But I mean, you look at the players that they've got in that team. You got like obviously DeAndre Hopkins, Traylon Burks, Chiggy Okonkwo. I mean, they've got weapons. They just don't have a QB who is willing to throw to them.
Yeah, I saw a few flash highlights, if you want to call them that, from week one. And there were a few big gaps and big plays that he left out there by overthrowing those 3 guys you just mentioned. So whether or not it's an interesting, but as you say, money talks, I guess, and that's where he ended up. But it was interesting. I know how he came out and said, well, I put calls out to the Niners. I put calls out to, the Eagles, and they never called me back. And you're like, putting calls out is one thing. But if you, as you say, Jay, if you go up to the Niners and go, I'll come on your team, vet minimum, just put me on.
Yeah.
They'd have gone, sure, we've got cap space for that. But if he's come knocking at the door going, hey, I'm Johnny Hopkins, I want $10 million a year, they're like,
and that's the big problem is he probably went to those big teams demanding
that money.
Yep.
And the thing is, and this is where it shows is, do you want money or do you want rings?
Yeah.
To me, he wants the money.
He should want
and again, we're speculating. We don't know. He could have did what we're talking about, Gary. He could have said, hey, listen, I'll do the vet minimum. But the thing with DeAndre Hopkins is you come, and it's not with the attitude like a Cam Akers type of attitude, but when you take on a DeAndre Hopkins, he is not going to practice all week. He's going to have at least 2 vet days off a week. That is not the message that we want to send, bringing in a new GM, bringing in a new head coach, and trying to set an attitude for our team, right? That is not the kind of message that we want to send. So he wasn't very conducive for what we wanted to do and what we're getting started over here. So I can see him not being a great fit for San Fran when everybody else is working their ass off every single day for one common
that ethos goal. Thing, as you say that.
Andy Reid with Kansas City, everybody is working their ass off every single day for one common goal. So that right there, I think, puts him in a disadvantage. He can only go to a couple teams that'll let him get away with the
carry
stuff
a
he
passenger
pulls,
like that.
Hey, listen, I don't practice. I just show up on game day and I'm ball out. And he does. He does ball out. He just does not practice. So
yeah, and for younger teams or teams that are building this is
or
this
teams
is
like
who we
San
are.
Fran that are like, no, we don't do that. And you know what? He's not a blocking receiver, so
No,
we
no.
never fit
He
him
wouldn't get
anyway.
much. He wouldn't get
Yeah.
much show in the San Fran offense. No, he'd have to put his body on the line a bit, and whether or not he's willing to do quite as much as that as some of our receivers are, hard to say. So, boys, JT, do you want to start with your good news story of today? Are you looking forward to getting in and getting out of
Getting out, I think being the operative words. Yeah, you know what? Again, same thing as last week. I just want to keep it close. I want to cover that spread of 12. I think it's 12.5. Last I looked this morning. So, just keep it competitive, keep it close. I think the last 16 meetings, I think we're 15-1. Last time we played them was 2021. We blew the doors off. So I don't necessarily see that, but I do see us, coming in, fighting hard for 60 minutes this time. Right? Not 2 quarters, not 3 quarters, but 4 quarters, playing hard. Dallas has not committed a turnover this year or allowed a sack this year. And I think both of those things happened today. Dennis Gardeck, one of our outside linebackers, has only played on 45% of defensive snaps and already leads the team with 3 sacks. Dennis Gardeck, number 45, that white guy that I said last week, can't dance at all. He's going to bring it today and show you guys how he can't dance after a sack that he's going to get. And we're definitely going to get a turnover. So I see one of those things happen, both of those things happening. I think you're going to see a hard-nosed, gritty team. But I think at the end of the day, you're going to see that one of the teams has a lot more talent than the other team. And so
the talent depth is going to come through in the end, right? As you say, it won't be hopefully commitment or effort by the guys, but it's just the level of talent that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The roster is way better.
And look, you can't do any worse than the Giants. So.
Oh, the line has actually moved up to 13.
Ooh.
Hey, I'll take that all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I take us to cover, but to lose and hopefully a close one.
Yeah, as you say, Sam, as long as it's not like the Giants, right? And you get a field goal turnaround for a TD and however many, just a horrid capitulation. You don't want that, yeah. And you haven't had that already, Jay. The 2 games you've been in, you've been right in the mix.
Absolutely, and what I will say again, this is, I don't want to act like I'm looking and finding moral victories, although I kind of am. Hey, listen, and you guys tell me, if we have Kyler Murray on that roster and if we have Budda Baker and both of those guys are playing, do we win the Commanders game and do we win the Giants game? I think we do.
Probably.
If Kyler Murray is quarterbacking and Budda Baker is in there at strong safety, the best defensive player we have,
you need
we win those games. So, and another silver lining moment is last week, that first half, that's the best first half of Cardinal football I've seen, and I don't even know how long. I mean, I was calling people, we're like, who is this team? What's going on?
Yeah.
This is crazy. This is amazing. So, I think the message this week is, a football game is 60 minutes. It's 4 quarters. Let's put forth that effort all 4 quarters, right? Are we going to have some boneheaded, some lapsed plays? Yeah, of course. But let's come back to the next play, 60 minutes, 4 quarters, and put some good hard-nosed football out there. So I think that's what we'll do. I'm very impressed with what we've done the last 2 games, albeit we're 0-2. But, again, I like where we're going.
I suppose the grassroots are there, right? The shoots are showing that, as you say, that first half last week was like, hey, this, maybe it might be early. It might be one of those flash in the pans that you get with the new coaches and the new regime when things click. But it shows that maybe the grit and the effort and the team building that's going on there is kind of filtering through to some of those. And actually, you got that step forward from Dobbs. Obviously, you were going to get it, but you definitely got it in that first half.
Absolutely. And even the third quarter wasn't that bad. And you look at a Giants team and you might say, yeah, they got blown up by Dallas in week 1 and then they what happened to us. But look, they were in the game with the 49ers for a while. Okay. And they were playing you guys pretty tough with a Matt Breida running the ball. Okay. So who I thought you guys were going to send him to the hospital by the third quarter minimum. And
I think we would have done if it wasn't an old 49er. maybe there
right.
was a little bit
You guys are paying your respects a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, I appreciate that.
give
We
it
just couldn't get to him. That's what it was.
But hey, let's face it, that's an NFL team, right? The Giants, they're an NFL team. They have some really good coaches. They have some good talent on that team. And, you know, I like where we're going. I like where we're headed.
Bo, what are you thinking of the Cardinals? As you say, the first couple of weeks, as we've said, they've been scrappy, gritty, exactly what we said a few weeks ago. That's all that Jason wants to see. Hopefully, some of those wins, some of those scrappy sort of performances turn into the odd win here and there. But that's what you've been looking for, and they've definitely been getting it.
Yeah, I mean, they've come out with, moral victories, right? So, I mean, you can only take so much solace in that. But they've had moments where you're like, oh, okay, like you can see what they're doing. And I agree with you. I think the defense has a real shot to get in and, make Dak make some mistakes, because going into this game, the Cowboys are missing. Well, I don't know if they're missing, but they're all questionable. Is they're starting center, an offensive guard, and an offensive tackle. So, and then of course they've lost Diggs for the year, right?
Diggs is out, yeah.
So, I mean, this is a game that you could make very interesting in a situation where everybody seems to think that the Cowboys are going to run you over. I think the Cowboys win, right? Obviously, roster top to bottom, they're just way more talent on that team. So unless they come out and are just absolutely terrible, they probably win that game. But you could make it real interesting with the line moving to 13. Like you could make a lot of bettors mad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of a lot of bettors mad, we might want to get to the Rams game. Interestingly enough, seems a nice segue. Sorry to jump all over that, Bo, but I thought that making bettors mad and talking about random field goals.
I have the Rams winning that game.
Yeah, it's. I mean, obviously, last week was as we've talked about. I think probably one of the games of our. Usually we do get sort of pummeled by the Niners, but we made it a proper game, and that there was just so much to be happy about in that game. We sort of kept people quiet for good parts of the game. We sort of, defense held up in certain points, and Puka Nakua is showing absolute wonders at the moment. I mean, I don't want to get too high on him because he is only a rookie. It is only his second game in, and I don't know. I'm still trying to work out in my brain how we're going to get Kupp and Puka working together, because they are very, very similar. Yeah. But you never know. I mean, we could, there's plenty of. Sean McVay's a brilliant coach. He'll find a way to fit them both in. But yeah, I mean, obviously going into the Cincy game, Burrow may be out, which is a big plus. And I think I think for me that'll depend. I would say it will decide the game, but I think it'll certainly, the Rams could easily take a victory if Burrow isn't playing.
Even if it doesn't sound like he's been playing great this year.
No, he's played terribly.
He's been really bad, yeah. Who's the Bengals backup? Does anyone remember?
Is it Dalton?
Is it still Andy? Is it still Andy Dalton?
No, Andy Dalton's playing for the Panthers now.
Yeah, he's actually getting the start against my Seahawks.
Yeah.
That's right. That's where I read he was starting.
I think it's is it a rookie?
I don't remember who their backup is.
I don't think it's a rookie.
He's probably going to get a start though, because I can't imagine they're going to roll Burrow out there with a leg injury.
Not with a calf injury that's could go much worse. If it's a slight strain.
Jake Browning.
Who?
Jake Browning.
Yeah, it's one of those.
That sounds like an L. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the Rams. Rams by at least a touchdown.
Right. Well, what's the spread there? All of a sudden, the Rams up by 8.
2.5.
Was it 2.5?
It's you've got to think there, yeah. You've got to be, Sam, from your point of view, you've got to be expecting a lot of P-Rain, a lot of Mixon. You've got to be looking at a lot
P-Rain's at the
P-Rain's at the Broncos now, isn't he?
With the Broncos.
But it'll be Mixon. You're going to be expecting a lot of run, yeah.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, the way that we sort of held the Niners quite well in the run. I mean, obviously McCaffrey does what he wants, but generally speaking, we did okay against McCaffrey. I think it was probably, we held our own against him, and I think if we can take that into the game, there is quite easily the possibility that we could come out with that with a win. And I think again, I still want to temper expectations. I think, even though they don't have a quarterback, we are still, defense is still very, very young, and I think they can make mistakes, but we'll see. I'm more confident now than I was maybe a week ago thinking about this game, but it's not till Monday night, Tuesday morning.
Tuesday morning now, so you still got time to go up and down the roller coaster. Yeah. As you say, Bo, you've got the joy of facing the Red Rifle. Then, seeing as they've decided to pull Stroud, that's an interesting thought process behind that, or is it? Where do you think the Panthers are going with that one?
Oh well, I mean, Bryce Young got hurt.
Oh, did he get? Yeah, was it?
Yeah, he got an ankle injury against the Saints. So
I missed it.
Yeah, so he's out. He was ruled out yesterday. So Andy Dalton gets the start. I'm more worried about a Panthers team with Andy Dalton than I was with Bryce Young. So
yeah.
What I will say, listen, talent aside from Bryce Young and what he can do on the football field, just having the camera on him and seeing the difference in size, I really kind of fear, like, if he gets a major blow or a big hit, or I watched the sack last week where a defender just barely touched his back and he fell pretty hard. And it's like, wow, I didn't realize how small he is, and how easily he's kind of thrown off.
I mean, imagine a free rush by an Aaron Donald or a TJ Watt.
Oh my gosh!
Or Max Crosby coming in off that edge.
For sure.
I would end his career.
Any of those dudes. Like, that's 6 to 8 weeks he's probably missing.
Yeah, or even
he looks like a sophomore in high school.
Yeah, it looks like he's got some. I mean, I think I read somewhere that they've had to take the QB sneak out of their playbook because
they absolutely had to because of his size.
Yeah,
wow.
And that's a 4th and 1 staple.
For the QB sneaks, they were bringing Dalton in, right? Like they would actually pull him out, bring Dalton in to do, either the QB sneak or fake the sneak and hand it off or whatever. But yeah, they had him out of the game for those plays. So that can't make you feel good as a franchise quarterback. Like, it as a team where your franchise is capable. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It also makes that quarterback sneak very predictable.
Predictable. When the redheads run in, okay, we all know it's coming.
Right, we all know it's coming. Right, quick goal line defense. No matter where we are, get everybody up. Yeah,
and it's not like Dalton is Taysom Hill, right? Where he can get around the
get out. And, yeah.
He's no Cam Newton.
Exactly. Certainly not. He's turning circle of a tanker. I think that guy has got no way of getting out.
Pretty much. That being said, I still think the Hawks win. I think the line on it 6 points. The only thing that I worry about is everyone is taking the Hawks in this game. And for whatever reason, those are the games that the Seahawks decide they want to play down to competition and try and lose, is when everybody is picking them. I much prefer when they are the underdog. They seem to get up for that game as opposed to, oh, yeah, we're supposed to win this. And it's
we're supposed to win this by 6, but
still got to play the game.
Roll back to week 1 this season. I mean, you were expected to, bowl us over, and we did the exact opposite to you. So,
yeah. No, you guys came in and balled out.
Yeah, the Seahawks seem to struggle with thinking they're the much better team. Well, yeah, they struggle against the Rams, but thinking they are the better team. Convincingly.
Yeah, they don't deal with favorite tags very well, do they? No. As you say, the underdog.
Well, is that a theme? Is that a theme this year? They go into the Rams, and the Rams win, and they go to Detroit and beat Detroit. Which I want to say, Bo, that was a great game. I rewatched that, took notes. Man, great victory from top to bottom. Horrible interception by Jared Goff.
Yes.
Great walk-off touchdown by Lockett. But I will say that the Aiden Hutchinson missed holding call to end the game. That was, man, that's real. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That holding call that was not called. Ugh, that was rough. But what a great game. What a gritty battle. Geno Smith took a late sack that was a horrible sack, but that game just went back and forth. What a very entertaining game, if you're not a fan, of course.
If you're not a fan of either of the two.
Yeah. what a very entertaining game. Great game to watch. And
You know,
I think
great,
you're gonna get
great
that's with
win by
the Lions,
Seattle.
right? That's what you're gonna get with the Lions every game. It seems like, if you're not a Lions fan or a team playing the Lions, that's the kind of game you want on Red Zone, or you're gonna be keeping your eye on, because it just seems like games are
Yeah.
great between those two
It's
teams at the
weird.
moment.
It's almost
Well,
like
that's
Dan Campbell doesn't know how to set up a good defense. Like,
Yeah.
I
If
don't
they finally
understand
tweak
it.
that defense, then that team could be pretty scary.
Well, I mean, the defense is better than it was last year. I mean, it was the worst in the league last year.
I was going to say that's not saying much because I think they were the worst. But
32nd of whatever,
Yeah, well, and the Seahawks weren't any better, right? They were 32nd, we were 30th. Like, it wasn't exactly great, and that's why there was 93 points scored when we played them last year. I mean, it was just a track meet, and it typically is when the Hawks and the Lions play. I don't know what it is, but the Hawks usually end up coming out on top somehow. But there's always a ton of points scored. So but they're always good games. Like, they're always fun. So,
it was a fun game. Fun game to watch.
Whilst we're on with the Lions, Sam Brown's just been announced as healthy, so he's definitely playing. There was talk that he was going to miss the game, but he's not. He's playing.
Sweet.
Interesting. Everyone, a lot of fantasy football. Just quickly drop the team. Update that one because he's been unquestionable, hasn't he?
While we're on the topic of missed tackles or missed holdings,
missed holding calls.
There were. I might have been exaggerating with 3, but there was definitely 2 missed holdings in the Niners game, which I didn't particularly like to see.
Yeah,
but you win some, you lose some with those, I think.
Well, I mean, we can highlight clearly the held Bosa on the 3rd and 15 in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, where he was held for seconds, and he still wasn't called, and they made that third down conversion.
It swings around about. You get some, you don't get some. But I saw 2 very clear holding ones, and I think then Kittle decided to make a meal of a holding that wasn't a holding.
Well, wasn't he actually got a hold called against the defender when it was him that was actually pulling the defender. It was very well done from a tight end perspective. He kind of made it look like he was being held when it was him doing the holding. That one was quite interesting. Even the commentators were like, Kittle's done well there.
It was.
And I think that holding call or the misholding call has a different feel to it in the first 59 minutes of a game when you're like, oh, that was obvious holding. How do you miss that? Then in the last minute, the last play, a deciding play that decides the game, a walk-off where a holding call was missed.
Yeah.
That makes you it makes me lose sleep. So those are the maddening calls that make you want to,
you forget, as you say, you've been screaming at the screen for 3 hours of those calls that they've been missing because that one is the one where they go down the other end. Yeah.
But the Niners did well. They played. They managed the game well.
Yeah.
Sam, that seemed painful for you to say.
It hurts to see the Niners doing well. It really does. But I suppose what I wanted was to because we have been talking about it quite a lot in the last sort of few days, especially since that match around Brock Purdy and the hype around Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably worth mentioning it. It's probably a good way to mention it now anyway.
Yeah, and as Jay said, and I think we said it, on the chat that we were in, he looked off. He didn't look crisp. He missed a few throws that were behind. It was off sort of target with a number of them. Subsequently found out, the Giants blitzed 86% of their down. So obviously that was a different look, and he was rushed a lot. But yeah, I mean, he wasn't as polished. He wasn't as clean as he could be, and he has been in other games. But maybe the pass rush was the affecting on that one. But I'm still of the opinion, and I know he's had a great high school career, and so Jay, we said in the chat, he's an icon down in Arizona at high school football because he holds like every record there is going, and he was really good at Iowa. He's still 10 games in. It's still, hold your horses, everybody. Yes, he's done well, and he's in the Hall of Fame with cleats and all the bits, and he's got a record. I think he's got the record of most games with 2 touchdowns since start. It's some one of those crazy stats, and the stats don't lie, but also being in a team that is as stacked as it is certainly helping his cause. But you could have said the same about the other guys who have been plugged in, and they've not done as well as him. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
that's
He's
where
actually
it's like,
13. He's actually 13 regular season games in, and he's 13-0 in those
Yeah.
games. You
Yeah.
can't say that. Listen, I don't understand the Brock Purdy. Hey, I don't understand wanting to poke holes. If there's one thing I can't say, he doesn't throw the best deep ball. Okay,
Sure.
his deep, that part.
missed
But
a
as
few
far as
against the Rams. Bad one.
leadership and his presence in the pocket and just commanding an offense and just how cool, calm, collected he is at all times, and that's just his demeanor. And listen, the guy's not, like I said, he's not Dan Marino. He's not, he's not one of the Peyton Manning. He's not, I don't think he's the greatest quarterback of all time, but man, he's a great quarterback for the 49ers. Period.
He's a very
And
good
no other
quarterback.
49er quarterback has done what he's doing right now. And we can say what we want about CMC. No Panther quarterback did anything remotely close. And I know that they didn't have the same supporting cast, but they had some good pieces over there in Carolina. And, I think Brock Purdy's doing an amazing job. And I think there's a big difference. You can see the difference, not only between him and Trey Lance, but him and Garoppolo as well. And the head coach, the coaching staff made no bones about it, who they wanted QBing their team.
Yep.
Sorry, Jimmy. We did it to you once. We did it to you twice. We're going to do it to you a third time. We want Brock quarterback in this team. I was arguing with that same San Fran fan over the offseason about who's going to be your quarterback, and he's like, it's not going to be Brock. Why wouldn't it be Brock? Are you kidding me?
How would you not? I mean, I suppose.
But
again, like Brooks. Sorry, go on, Sam.
I was going to say, I think the problem that I have is
he's the 49er.
Well, it's not only the fact that he's 49,
two problems he has,
that
then, right?
Sort of help, but I will always have this. There's something in the back of my head, especially with him. I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. I never said he's not a good quarterback, and I know it probably comes across as there is a little bit of element of bias because with him being a Niner, but I just don't see him being that good without that. The probably one of the
supporting
best
cast.
Offensive lines in I mean, the best left tackle in the league by a country mile. Having CMC, I would argue the best running back in the league.
Sure.
Kittle, top 5 tight end, blocking and receiving, and then having the likes of Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Usyk, who's
Jennings did turn
everyone
up,
says is the best
fullback in the league.
In the league, and it's like he has so much around him that is just positive, that is at the top of their game, and I just think that would he be? And this is what I'm talking perfectly just about Brock Purdy, not about his stats and that. Would he do well in a regular team? Now he probably would, but I will always have this sort of nagging feeling that he may not be as good, or at least look as good as he is without that.
This argument sounds a lot to me, and I am not comparing Brock to Tom Brady. So let's get that straight. But this argument sounds a lot to me like the Belichick Brady argument. Okay. And it's like, could Brady do this without the supporting cast? It's Belichick. No, it's not Belichick. It's Brady. Listen, to me, this speaks to what a great coach Kyle Shanahan is. Listen, Deebo is not a great wide receiver. Deebo does not run great route. The best wide receiver on that roster is Brandon Ayuk. Okay. I don't think Deebo Samuel is necessarily Deebo Samuel on other rosters. Okay. Kittle is an outstanding blocking tight end. He's not the best pass catching tight end in the league. Not even close, really. He could be the best blocking tight end in the league. So, but what Shanahan's done is he's got these pieces and he's got these players in a position to highlight their strengths. Okay. Yeah. And I feel like he's done the same thing with Brock. And I feel like that's kind of what Belichick did in the Belichick-Tom Brady argument. I feel like that's kind of the same argument here. Yeah. Is Brock Purdy the best? No. And to be honest, if you had like a pick'em game in recess and you had Matt Stafford sitting there and then Brock Purdy, people are
Take a
probably
step.
picking Matt Stafford to be
Yeah.
the quarterback, right?
Mhm.
You're not picking Brock, but for some reason in this offense with this coaching staff, man, I'm rolling with Brock.
And I think that's the point that I'm trying to make, and I have made on Twitter with a couple of people, is it's that everything is perfectly working in the system. Brock Purdy is looking his best in the system.
Yep,
They're getting
absolutely.
the best out of McCaffrey. They're getting the best out of everyone.
And
that's
that's
why
what
it
football is.
Yeah. I just think in terms of individual talent and individual like him, Purdy as a quarterback, to me, he doesn't. He does if he stays in that team and he manages to keep those, not all of the pieces, but keep similar things around him like that. Arguably, he could be seen as one of the best quarterbacks in the league in terms of because of the stats and everything. But in terms of as an individual, do I like him as a quarterback? I'm in at this point, and that's why I've stuck with the argument that I'm just waiting for him to have a bit of time and to prove himself in a bit of adversity to be able to show that, and that's all it is.
I think there's, as I said, and we talked about it in the chat group. It's not his fault he was drafted as the last pick of the draft, right? That's got nothing to do with the fact that that's happened to him. The narrative is being made around that, and it's like, well, that's where he was picked. It's kind of negating the high school football, the 4 years starting at Iowa State. It's all of that's got kind of forgotten about because he was the last pick. He's played a lot more football than a lot of other QBs.
Yeah.
He's been, around the college game a lot. So he's seen football a lot. Would he be as successful at the Panthers? Maybe not, but would he be more successful than Bryce Young? I think so.
Oh, for sure.
And those are more the comparisons that you should be looking at. Would he be doing better at the Texans? Yes, I think he would be. But he's also lucked into an organization that needed him to make the final pieces. The jigsaw was all there.
That's it.
It's that kind of combination and complementary thing.
I try not to think about where people get drafted because the fact that Brady was drafted so low and he's arguably the GOAT.
Sixth round.
I think we need to. You can't. Teams will pick the players they think will fit their team, and that's how it's always going to be. And I think, but as long as if he can maintain and Shanahan can maintain getting the best out of Brock, then yes, I will happily. Well, I won't happily. I will admit.
let's happily admit.
Not happily, but I will admit. Brock Purdy
I love it.
Yeah.
No, as you say, if he stays at the Niners and the Niners manage to keep a roster like this for 6-7 years, and we're in and about, and we should probably pick up a couple of championships and whatever with that sort of idea, he'll be in the Hall of Fame discussion because his stats will show that. Will he be that elevated elite level? No, he's not a Marino or a Murray, or he's not that kind of put everything on his back and he'll take your team. But he'll take a team and he'll manage a team and he'll make sure that a team of stars gets the ball.
He will keep the team competitive.
But I hope this forces people to evaluate talent differently. Not everything is quantified at the combine. Okay, Tom Brady is still running the 40. Top teams, right? Okay, Tom Brady is still running the 40. Tom Brady did 225 at the combine one time. Not everybody's Cam Newton. Not everybody's this super mega athlete that you're like, oh my God. But the intangibles that Brock Purdy has, I just hope this forces people to look at talent differently. And I think a combination of both what Brock Purdy's bringing to the table, and you're right, Kyle Shanahan's putting him in an awesome situation, awesome scenario to succeed. And you're right, you're probably right, Sam. Without all of that talent around him and that, he might not have the same success. But you know what? That's what football is, right?
That's why when people always say that. You look at Goff and Stafford, they're not too dissimilar in the way they play.
No.
But realistically, everyone has always said, stick Stafford in a team that looks like it's going to win and he'll elevate them. And that's what he did. We found a quarterback that fitted us perfectly, and he showed why he made the difference in that team by getting us the ring. And I think you're right. It needs to be, we need to start thinking about players in, okay, where were they great? They were great in this system, and this is how it works. You know, this is football. It's not a case of you're always going to have your elites. You're going to have, thinking of players,
generational athletes who can transcend things. They are always going to come out of the college system. Although, interestingly, they might not come out of the college system quite as often now with the NIL stuff, because I think you're going to see a lot of kids stay in college for a lot more years now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like Bijan Robinson. Like, to me, he's a generational talent. It's utterly unbelievable to watch him play. But they've stuck him on a team that runs first, and it works. And he'll look better than if you say stuck him in the Vikings.
No doubt.
Well, I think a talent like Bijan's gonna rise to the top no matter what. But I think Kyler Murray's a good example for what we're talking about. I mean, on paper, talent-wise, Kyler Murray is just absolutely incredible. But I think now he's kind of gotten to that point in his career where he's really kind of, for lack of a better word, maxed out that talent, right? Yeah. Everybody knows you're the fastest guy on the field, on any field, anytime you step on the field. Everybody knows you can throw the football the farthest. You're probably the most accurate of either quarterback on the field. Now, here, what's your decision-making process like? And to me, that's kind of what separates Brock, right? The guy's so calm, cool, collected. His decision-making process, he just doesn't turn the ball over. Does he have the best long ball in the world? No. I mean, does he look great in just his underwear? No. I don't even want to think about it. But,
ultimately, that's exactly what Geno is too.
Absolutely. Right? Geno's a great example.
He's exactly that guy. He protects the ball. He makes good decisions.
Yep.
Does he push the ball down the field well? No, he doesn't have a great long ball. Is he hyper athletic? No. Can he pick the scramble for first down? Yeah, maybe. But he's not Kyler Murray or Lamar or any of those guys that can be a real threat running. He's just not that guy. So, and Brock is the same thing. It's like, would they be successful on a team where you don't have those weapons and the offensive line sucks? Well, no, but who is?
Nobody. So much of it is being in the right system for you, right, Baker Mayfield?
Yeah,
right.
Primate, look at him being
right
down there in Tampa, getting it.
I feel like that's a time bomb, though.
I don't think so. I think Baker is a great example of a Geno Smith. I think I don't think I thought he did good with the Rams, to be honest. I thought he was a Sean McVay. I thought he was a Sean McVay type quarterback, to be honest with you. So
this is the difference. Is I think you're now when we're at this level and we're watching these sorts of players, and I think we're all able to see. You can now see that who are the better coaches to get the best out of the players that they have.
For sure.
And this is where your Sean McVays, your Shanahans, your Pete Carroll, all of these players, all of these coaches, it just shows you the difference in having a great coach. And I think that's what it is. And
because you look across the league, these guys are all top of their game athletes, and they've all got, skills and talents, whatever else, but it's extracting that talent in the best way for the team. It's not, maybe it is in one place, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, it was all about just get the ball in Russ's hands, let him run around, let him do whatever, he'll cook and whatever, because it just worked. That you had to do that, and plus you also never bothered drafting any linemen to protect him ever until he left, and then you went out and got like 4 of them. But it does. I mean, maybe it is the coaching where you just go, right, this is the talent we have, this is how to make it all work, and that's comes to the fore.
You just explained why we fired Cliff Kingsbury.
There's
the exact reason why we fired Cliff.
There's a reason why the Pittsburgh Steelers always manage a 500
plus over 500 season,
because
Tomlin just puts the pieces in place and coaches them and drills them.
And this is the difference, I think. And this is what I think in terms of the players. And I mean, there's no way that you could stick Puka Nacua in a lot of the other teams and he would do well, because he's not an elite. I don't think he's an elite wide receiver. I think he's a wide receiver that is doing elite things in an offense that really suits him as an individual.
It really needs a receiver of that type. I don't think if you put him in Miami, you'd even see the ball.
No,
that kind
probably
of stuff.
not.
No. Although maybe this week as Waddle's out.
Not with that talent. Yeah.
I mean, his separation is good, but his route running is good. but he's not the quickest of wide receivers in the slightest. But he knows, and he's not the biggest either. But he,
I mean, that's
he's
why
got that feel. He's got that feel to find the soft spot.
Sounds like a great slot receiver to me.
Exactly.
That's perfect,
That's
right?
why he's good in the slot. Is exactly that, right? Like he runs a nice route and he gets separation. That's exactly what you want.
But the problem that we have is when you have Cup and him on the same team who do.
Yeah, you can't run two slots. Yeah.
That sounds like not only does it sound like a good problem, but it also sounds like a problem that Sean McVay is like licking his chops. Like I can't wait.
He's already drafted.
Because Sean McVay, I mean,
Sean McVay knows now that if he loses Cup, he's got someone that'll sit straight into that position, and that.
And that's an interesting front office decision. You've got now that Puka's come through, and he's like, wow.
I mean, Cup's like what, 54, 55?
He's a 97 or something on his fourth knee or something, isn't he? But
yeah, I mean, you can use two slot guys though, because when you're running trips, you need two guys that can get in and out of breaks quick, because in a bunch formation like that, you need two guys that can break out and one guy that clears. So, I mean, in that scenario, you do need two slot guys to effectively run some of those routes.
And then, Tutu Atwell showing his speed now and showing why he's that deep ball threat. And, it's for starting this season, thinking how it was going to go to how it is now, it's beautiful to be able to sort of.
You got to be, very happy with the way it's going.
It's slightly annoying.
Not being an NFL fan in a nutshell, that though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's annoying. We're probably realistically now probably not going to be in the shout for Caleb Williams, which is annoying, but.
Well, not if you watched him last night play my boys, play ASU. He did not look the best.
Did not look that great. Did not look good. But then again, neither did Travis.
But I think
but we managed to beat Clemson anyway.
I think there are probably three or four relatively good quarterbacks that are coming out of next draft.
There's 6 or 7. There's 6 or 7 coming out.
I mean, the 2024 draft is just going to be absolutely stacked. So there's plenty.
Cardinal fans are licking their chops. We're hoping that Kyler Murray balls out and we can sell our 2 picks.
You're gonna be rich. You're gonna be rich for years because you guys. I mean, you either take Harrison.
Oh, you got to take Harrison.
Got to take Harrison, right?
You got to.
If Kyler balls out, you need Harrison.
I would love Harrison. Yeah.
Then you just shop that extra pick.
He's that generational talent. He's an absolute elite wide receiver.
He's a Hall of Fame inductee waiting to happen. That guy. I mean, and he plays at a higher stage. Don't normally throw the ball that much. So the fact he's head and shoulders above. I mean, yeah, absolutely. But we're drifting off into college games. Right, boys. Quickly before we run out of the hour slot, let's give us what are you calling your scores today then, Bo? How are you feeling? You're covering the spread? Are you
6 points? I don't like that number generally, but I'm going to go with the Hawks cover just because that Panthers team isn't great, and with Dalton coming in, even though I think he gives them a little bit better option, I still think they fall. We'll go 27-20.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Nice clear score at the end there.
Look at that.
All right, Sam, how do you feel your Rams are going to pick up today? Tuesday.
I think we may win, and I think we may win with a field goal. I think there'll be 3 points in it.
Yeah, I don't see much.
I don't see it necessarily being high scoring, but I think maybe something like a 2017 or something.
17-14, something like that. It's going to be an eke out. Yeah. Jay, are you staying within 13? Do you think?
Absolutely, we're staying within 13. I think it's not unrealistic to think that we get 3 touchdowns. Maybe 2 and a field goal. So I'm going to say, I don't know if we're all predicting here. I go 31-21 Dallas.
Oh yeah,
even 28-21. We say in that fourth quarter, there's only 1 score game. Anything can happen, and we've got great success against Dallas the last 16 games. So
put the pressure on them. Yeah, you go.
We'll see.
We'll see. Do we think there are any head coaches on the block already, apart from the Chargers head coach?
Staley.
Yeah.
Brandon Staley.
Yeah.
He gets fired this year, and Kellen Moore ends up as the interim head coach before the end of the season.
Bo, you said that week 1, didn't you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is the game against
You
the
actually
Vikings a
said,
head
I don't
coach?
know how Staley still has his job, actually, is what you said.
I think that was pre them going 0-2, right?
0-2, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, they're headed down the road. I was thinking they were going to. Like it's bad. He's wasting a lot of talent on that team, and that team has no defense, and he's a defensive coach. Like none of what's happening there makes sense.
Yeah, none of it makes sense. But I mean that game there, the Chargers at the Vikings, both 0-2. Is that a head coach decision making game, or is it far too early for that?
No, I think the Vikings head coach is absolutely fine. He's just,
I think it's regression for the Vikings compared to how many close games they won last year, right?
Absolutely. How many close games they won last year, and then how they're playing this year, and schematically how they played last year, leaning more on that run game, and how they're playing this year is completely different. So obviously they've made a major shift. So if it doesn't work out, how is he not on the hot seat?
I just don't think yet. I think
Yeah.
I think they'll probably get a win. I think the way it's probably going to play out is I think the Vikings will get a win. Staley will get sacked.
So see, that's the thing that's funny is I think the Chargers win this game, but just because the Vikings have no defense either, so there could be 900 yards thrown in this game.
Yeah, it could be one of those, right? Yeah.
I mean, because last week, Herbert threw for like 450. Same with Cousins. He threw for 400 and some yards too. So, I mean, there could literally be 900 yards in this. I think where you end up with a problem with the coaching is your Vikings head coach isn't thought of as a defensive genius, so to speak.
No.
And that's what Staley built his career on, right? Is he's this defensive mastermind, and they don't play defense. I think if there was anybody out of this game, win or lose, that is on the hot seat, it's got to be Staley out of the two.
Yeah. And I think he has proven to be a better DC than he is a head coach.
He was a great DC for us.
Much like your Steve Wilkes over there in San Fran.
Yeah, definitely. Put him in a DC role, great, but head coach maybe just too much for him. So
I'll take him back at the Rams as DC. I'll be happy. Love that.
Yeah, because that's what you need, a coaching tree down there like that. And you got McVay, Floor. Yeah, it'd be fine.
We've got Raheem Morris there. Raheem Morris there at the moment. I'm not a massive fan of Raheem.
Oh, Raheem did great things in San Fran, so sometimes it just takes time.
Yeah,
it'll work its way out. So it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to catch up next week, see what sort of came out, has there been. I don't. As I say, I think that's a coach killer, that game, but I don't think anyone's making that rash sort of decision this early in the season.
Week 3, yeah.
Week 3 might be too soon, unless, of course, as you say, the Chargers literally just fold and let them run and score like willy-nilly. Then, as you say, because he's a defensive coach, that the extra pressure's got to come on there. But then again, who's out there available?
Yeah, I think though if they were to lose by if it was something like a 54-50 loss. Losing and then losing by conceding 54 points.
Lots of points,
that could be Kellen Moore would be their intern because he's their new OC.
Sure.
So he would get elevated into that spot. They wouldn't have to look outside the building to fill that role. So I think that actually creates even more pressure for Staley to keep his job.
Absolutely, of course. Because he's got that pressure behind him.
Right there.
Yeah, right next to him, and every meeting, it's like, oh yeah, that's taking over for me.
So that's a guy who's already eyeing this seat. Yeah.
Especially can we walk into those meetings, sub temp? No.
Right.
Especially if the offense is putting up such good points,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's got to be looking at those meetings, going, "What more do you want me to do here? You told me to run your offense."
Having a great year. Yeah.
And they're doing it without Eckler.
Yeah.
Interesting times.
Joshua Kelly, jeez Louise.
Yeah. He's got to be drafted. People are going to be picking him up on waivers. I mean, the waivers went crazy for Puka though. Man, that was.
Yeah. And then Jerome Ford. Yeah.
I went and grabbed Hunt. I went.
Hunt's going to come through.
Why not?
Well, because I have Madison. And apparently they're not going to run the ball.
No.
Watch it.
Ow.
This week they'll run the ball.
Well, shit, they'll literally run it like 50 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I haven't for this week because Hunt's not really going to. I don't think Hunt actually is going to play. And Akers.
I heard he was activated for this
he's
game.
activated, but
He's
it sounds like
activated,
it'd be
yeah.
like a handful of plays at best.
Oh, okay, yeah. No,
And
I wouldn't play him either.
Yeah, and then Akers is supposed to be a no-go for this week. So Madison will get the, all 8 carries that they're going to do.
There's the workhorse back up there in Minnesota against. Yeah.
What's going to happen is everyone's.
I wonder if he
talking
has
about
to shower
Madison.
after the game.
Does he bother?
I bet Madison manages over 100 yards this week, and everyone will be like, "Oh my god!"
Oh, I'll take that bet.
I'd get that. Yeah,
Yeah,
take
I'm
that. I'll
taking
cover that
under
easily.
all day.
I'll
All
take
day
that.
under on that one.
No. We're
No
gonna
doubt
sit
on that one.
over under at 35.
So the Vikings are going to be 14 down. Everything's going to go through the air. It's just literally going to be like that. It's
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
one of those games. Yeah.
Yeah, well, especially with that match, with that matchup there, it's an air raid
Yeah.
the whole time.
That's absolutely. Addison and Jefferson are going to feast on that Chargers
Oh, yeah.
defense. But anyway, we've gone off target as we always do, boys. Another hour and 5 minutes flown by again. I love Sundays with you guys. It's like
Absolutely.
the best hour of the week. Enjoy your games,
Absolutely.
and I can't wait to catch up with you guys next week. Have fun.
That's
And
right.
Until next Sunday, boys. This has been Let's Talk Sport, the NFC show. Thanks for watching.
Good luck, boys.
Cheers.